Scareclaw gameplay. Game 1, I win the die roll and start by activating right. I summon a token and place Fateful. Normal summon below and activate Fateful to add Draco back. I forgot about the whole idea of Fateful being able to chain block, so I'll make this misplay again throughout the video because I'm bad. Then I activate Fateful to search and my opponent hits it with an Ash. I special summon Acro, then link Balone into Lightheart and use its effect to search for Ragphobia. I activate it searching Starfrost. Then I special Rykart and use him to grab a Twin Saw and draw a bonus card. I activate Starfrost, popping Lightheart and summoning him out. Then I reborn Lightheart. Link Lightheart into Lightheart and grab another Ragphobia for next turn. I Synchro Summon into Barone using Rykart and Starfrost. This is another misplay. I should have used the token instead because now I'll have to use a Druis Worm to get access to Tryhard. Then I'll activate Tryhard on Acro and search out Astra, summon the Astra, set one, and pass. Not wanting to reveal what he's playing, my opponent scoops it up and moves on to Game 2. Game 2, my opponent decides to go first and starts his turn off with special summoning Fenrir. Activating his effect, he adds another Fenrir. Then he normal summons Beaver and activates the effect, summoning Nimble Angler. Links them off for a sprint and uses the effect, dumping another Angler. Triggers the Angler to summon 2 Beavers from deck, then he activates Prosp, banishing 6, adding Jet. He specials Jet and uses it to search Double Cross. Then he overlays Sprint and Beaver into Gigantic to play around Imperm. He makes an elf pointing at it. Then he activates Gigantic and I chain Ash. He proceeds to set 2 and pass. In draw phase, I Imperm Fenrir and Cosmic the middle back row. Cosmic misses the Double Cross, so I know all he could have is that, and maybe a hand trap. I activate right, summoning out the token and placing Fateful. Then I normal summon Acro and trigger Fateful to add Draco back. He chains Elf, reborning Jet. I add Draco back, then he uses Jet to add Starter. At res, he double crosses Acro, attaching it as material to Gigantic. I activate Fateful, adding Griffin, pitching Draco back re-equips, and I summon Griffin. I go Battle Phase to take away Gigantic's targeting protection. I kill Elf and Jet. Main Phase 2, I bounce Gigantic with Draco back, which gets Acro into my grave. I activate Arrival to reborn it. Link into Lightheart, add Ragphobia, which gets Rykart, which grabs another Arrival. I use Arrival again to summon Acro. Ragphobia pops his Fenrir, then I link into Tryhard. Tryhard summons Acro and searches out a follow-up Rykart for next turn. Then I pass. He goes main phase, specials Fenrir, then banishes Lightheart to summon Magnamute and activates his effect. He normal summons Red Resonator and links it and Magnamute into Elf, uses it reborning Jet, and uses Jet, which gets hit with Griffin Rider. At resolution, he uses Fenrir to banish Ragphobia face down. He activates Starter, summoning Blue, uses it, adds Pixies, then he goes Battle Phase and uses Pixies. I protect the link with Arrival. Main phase 2, he overlays Elf and Blue to summon a Swap Frog from deck. Swap Frog sends another Swap Frog, then he uses Fenrir to add another copy. Then realizing he doesn't have much left he can do, he scoops. Game 1, I won the die roll. I start by activating Fateful, then activating right, Fateful adds Draco back, then I add Griffin, sending Draco back. Draco back equips, I summon Griffin, then I normal summon Astra. Link into Lightheart, Lightheart grabs the field spell grabs Rykart. Rykart grabs Arrival, and I draw 1. I reborn Astra and link 3 into Tryhard. Then I activate a Water Enchantress I drew into adding right. I don't know why I didn't summon it because that would have gotten me to a second link 3. Tryhard reborns Astra and searches Acro. I summon Acro and pass. My opponent starts things off with a normal summon of Rhinoheart, dumping Shiren. Shiren activates. I chain Griffin. They chain Havnis. I chain Ash. They chain Called By. I chain Illegal Knight to summon. Illegal Knight summons out. Havnis whiffs, hitting Heartbeat, Ghost Spell, and Perlarino. Griffin Rider wanders back into the deck, and Shiren is negated. On a new chain, Kelbeck targets Illegal Knight because I did attempt to Ash. I chain Illegal Knight targeting my opponent's 2 monsters. After a short judge call, we came to the conclusion that Kelbeck will still bounce the Illegal Knight back to my hand from my opponent's field. Despite all my trying, my opponent still has talents. They take Tryhard and link into Dark. Dark takes Lightheart, and Dark and my Dark monster make Sprend. Sprend dumps Merly. Merly activates, summoning Kitkalos. Kitkalos dumps Havnis. Havnis, Rhino, and Havnis makes a Kaleido Heart. Kaleido deletes the adventure token. My opponent goes Battle Phase and swings into Acro with Kit. I protect with Arrival, not knowing that Arrival can't do that. Arrival can only protect Scareclaw Link monsters specifically. I legitimately didn't know that until I made the deck profile and I stared at the card long enough to see the word Link written on it. They just declare another attack into Acro with Kaleido Heart. Main phase 2, Kit sends Kaleido Heart reborning Rhino Heart. Kaleido dumps Scream, which adds Soliek. They set one and pass. Could literally be anything. I start my turn with right, then I activate Fateful and they chain Soliak, targeting Astra. I chain a Legal Knight to summon, they send Kit Kalos, I add Griffin, and I pitch a copy of right. They go Chainlink 1 Kit, Chainlink 2 Kaleido on the token. I chain a Legal Knight on Kaleido and Sprend. Kit Kalos mills 2 names and a Shuffler. They choose to only summon out Drago's Depelia, which gets instantly popped by the field spell. Then I go Reichheart, add a rival, and climb into a Triheart, who reborns Astra and adds Balone, and this is like 11,000 damage on board, 8,500 of it being able to pierce through the Rhino and Illegal Knight they control. Game 2, Talents fucks me again. Game 3, I go first and start with Reichphobia. I add Reichheart, normal him and use the effect. My opponent chains Havnis. They hit Mudora and Kelbeck, so I decide to add Twin Saw instead of a rival. They activate Kelbeck and it hits my Fateful, Griffin, and a Legal Knight. Cool. They just activate Scream and add Soliak. I use Druis Worm on my Magnamute. They chain Mudora, targeting Planet, Kelbeck, and my Magnamute. I link into Lightheart and add the field spell, then I use Starfrost to pop Lightheart and use Lightheart's effect to reborn. They chain Keldo, putting back Lightheart, Fateful, and Reichheart. The Fateful putback being a gesture of pity. I turn Starfrost into a Funko Pop, I set 2, and pass. My opponent starts off their turn by activating Shiren. I chain Different Dimension Ground. Shiren summons out, and then I Twin Saw to blow up the field. They normal Rhino and go Battle Phase and swing for 1500. I drop Druis Worm, a bit worried about time. They go Main Phase 2 and set 1, could be anything. Past me, I start my turn by activating Reichphobia, grabbing Reichheart. I normal Reichheart and use it. This was a misplay, I should have just gone Battle Phase to force the Soliak. Oh well, this was my first time playing the deck. They chain Soliak, sending Rhino. Rhino activates, sending Shiren. They go Shiren 1, Rhino 2. Rhino dumps Havnis, and out comes Kaleido Heart, shuffling away Druis Worm. I just set 1 and pass. They normal summon Keldo, activate Saronir on Starfrost. Battle Phase attacks for a bunch of damage. Main Phase 2, they make Dark, reborn Reichheart, link into Sprend, and on Sprend's effect I activate another Different Dimension Ground. Merle gets banished, they pass back to me, and I start with Water Enchantress. Grabbing right, I use right, making a token and placing Fateful. Then I activate the Dracoback I've had in my hand since turn 1. Classic. And bounce away the Kaleido Heart. I use Fateful to throw an Enchantress in the grave. I go Battle Phase and smack Sprend with a token and pass. Really just praying they don't draw a tier. And they normal summon Merle. Well, I tried. But holy shit, Merle whiffs! My opponent passes back to me. I use Water Enchantress to add right. Then I use Fateful to grab another Water Enchantress, sending right away. I almost hand my opponent the win by summoning Enchantress before attacking, but realize before I commit that there is a Soliak on the board. I bounce the Merle with Dracoback. So fucking bad, dude. Holy shit. I hope this video is helpful to somebody because it's really showcasing how fucking dumb I am. Soliak enables any top-decked tier element to be broken. Shiren alone isn't anything. Havnis alone isn't really anything. Merle is probably the best starter they can have. I managed to stop myself from waddling into one misplay, only to waddle into one that might even be worse. Here's where I also come to the cold realization that I should be playing Link Spider. I could have access to Triheart here if I was playing Link Spider, which I now am. I link into Lightheart, I make Dark, and target my opponent's Magnamute. They chain Keldo on Enchantress, Magnamute, and their own Dark. And I just pass. In the footage, it sounds like I'm still holding on to some kind of hope, but Soliak with any tier is probably game. Soliak with Merle is definitely game. And I die in a bewildered state, not even knowing how bad I played. Deserved. Game 1. I win the die roll. I decide to go first. Start off with a right. Summon Enchantress, search out Dracoback, grab Griffin, pitching Dracoback, summon out Griffin, I normal Acro, link it to Lightheart and activate the effect. My opponent chains Valor and Imperm on Griffin and Lightheart. I link into Dark, use Water Enchantress and Grave, then I activate Magnamute targeting my Lightheart, and my opponent chains Druis Worm on it. I'm not sure what I was going for with summoning Dark. I must have thought I needed to get a Light or Dark in my grave, but my opponent has Valor, so it just seems unnecessary. Anyway, I just pass to my opponent and they draw for turn, and start things off with a special summon of Ecclesia. That's pretty good. They sink into Barone and trigger Druis Worm, targeting the Griffin. I chain Griffin and they let it resolve. Then my opponent fires off a Desires and draws 2. Barone pops the token, they normal summon Taya, and then realize they don't have a worm or a sword soul card engraved. Unfortunate. They go battle phase and punch Dark. Taya attacks directly, and I try to drop a Magnamute targeting Ecclesia. Barone negates, and Taya's attack goes through. And they pass to me. I draw for turn. In standby, they use Barone, targeting their Druisworm, and I chain Magnamute. Magnamute effect on summon, then I activate Right and summon a token. Activate Fateful, which gets met by an Ash. Then I use Arrival on Acro to Reborn, link it to Lightheart, add the field spell, use it, grabbing Astra, special it, link 3 into Triheart, shifting everything to defense. Triheart reborns Astra and searches Rykart. Rykart adds Twin Saw and I draw 1. I pop Barone with the field spell and enter battle phase. I attack over Taya and swing direct for 3k. I set 1 and go end phase. Resolving Magnamute, I add Druisworm. My opponent draws for turn and starts things off with an Ashuna. They link it to Monk, and I Druisworm the Ashuna. Opponent scoops. Game 2, my opponent starts things off with an Ashuna. Link it to Monk, Ashuna activates, summoning Adhara. Then they activate Heavenly Circle, attributing Monk, summoning out a Vishuda. They sink in a Draco Berserker, then they normal Moye, reveal Taya, making a token. Put those two into Shizhao. Shizhao 1, Moye 2, gets a draw and searches out Longwan. Activates Longwan, pitching Blackout, then summons Sinister Sovereign and burns for 12. They set 1 and pass. I draw for turn. In draw phase, they flip up anti-spell. I throw a Cosmic at it, paying 1,000. Go main phase, I normal summon Balone. Then I special Astra, which gets banished by Sinister. Burn for 12. I link Balone into Lightheart and activate the effect. They change Shizhao, banishing Blackout to negate. And in a new chain, Blackout summons the token. I activate Magnamute, targeting Vishuda. They chain Draco Berserker to banish him. I go battle phase here and crash the Lightheart into Shizhao to clear my extra monster zone. Then I go main phase 2 and I activate Arrival, targeting Balone. They chain Sinister to banish and burn for 12. I link into Lightheart, add the field spell, use it, getting Rykart, special him, search the Reborn, use it, and then summon out Triheart. Triheart reborns Balone. I add Acro and summon it, then I pop the token with the field spell and pass. My opponent uses Draco Berserker to link into Monk. I forgot about that. The Tenyi's Engraver live, Vishuda can just bounce Triheart. That's GG. Game 3, I go first and start by normal summoning Rykart and activating the effect. I search out Arrival and link it at Lightheart using its effect. That gets met with a Veiler. I just set 2 and pass. My opponent draws for turn, goes main phase, and throws down a Lightning Storm calling back row. I chain D-Barrier calling Synchro. Lightning Storm hits a Twin Saw. They go for an emergence, and I chain Ash. Then Ashuna summons out, link it to Monk. Ashuna effects summoning Vishuda. Then they just go battle phase and kill Lightheart and attack for a bit of damage, and pass to me. I draw for turn and summon out Wandering Griffin Rider. Then I activate Arrival on Rykart and activate the effect, adding another Arrival. Then I link into the link 1 and add the field spell, which adds Acro. Special Acro. Link 3 into Triheart. Triheart reborns Acra. I search Astra. I use Arrival on Rykart, and I attack 3 times with 3900 attack, and my opponent dies. And that's it for the games. Hopefully this video showcases the strengths and weaknesses of the deck. Maybe someone newer to the deck learned something from my own misplays. Here's an updated list I've settled on after playing in 3 locals. Changes from my deck profile are moving Ash to the side and adding in talents, and adding in Splash. I think I was wrong about Splash, saying it's more of a side card, because this deck just gets absolutely rolled by talents. And having another negate for protection honestly feels more valuable than having a Twin Saw most of the time. I took out the rank 3 Zeus package and added Beatrice and Wallow. Beatrice is here to get access to your Brave token engine, and it actually comes up a lot. You can access Beatrice by opening any Scareclaw and Abystial. I also added in Asa. All the level 3 Scareclaws are Earth, so if you have enough extension, you can make Asa and try and force their shufflers before you use your things like Arrival. And yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.